Grady Newsource. The impact of Hurricane Helene in northeast Georgia and what one local church was able to do in one day to help those who are suffering. What Athens police are doing to solve a series of break-ins. Children's Healthcare of Atlanta has opened a new hospital in Brookhaven, which will care for children across the state. That and more coming up on Grady Newsource.
This is Northeast Georgia's only local source for TV news. From the Grady College at the University of Georgia, this is Grady Newsource.
Welcome to Grady Newsource. I'm Elizabeth Hunter. In just one night, Hurricane Helene passed through Georgia, but its impact will last much longer. Grady Newsource reporter Juliana Russ went to Augusta this morning to get a look at how the Athens community is helping their neighbors.
We don't have electricity, no air conditioning, and it's just been miserable like.
In Hephzibah, a small town near Augusta, the storm hit especially hard.
There's trees on top of houses everywhere. We'll be out of power till next weekend.
Tens of thousands are still without power in the Augusta area alone.
So hard, hot, can't sleep, can't wash clothes, can't do nothing. No grocery stores, no food, no nothing. I have two small little kids that just don't understand what's going on.
But today, families like the Hughes got some badly needed help. In just one day, Cornerstone Church Athens collected more than 10,000 pounds of donated supplies from community members and local businesses to provide relief for those impacted by the storm. Early this morning, a group of employees and volunteers from Cornerstone made the 2-hour trip to Oasis Church at Hephzibah, where they are distributing items in a drive-through line.
And they have brought more supplies than we could imagine. They've brought workers that are out helping people in our church and in our community with cleanup.
Donated supplies include bottled water, cleaning wipes, non-perishable food items, flashlights, and more.
I was filled with tears when they came pulling in, and so the community is lining up now. We don't even start till 11 o'clock, and we've had people lined up since 8:30 this morning, just needing water, needing supplies, needing help. It's just really horrible. There's a lot of hope, though. There's a lot of camaraderie. We see neighbors helping neighbors, and that's what it's about, but people are hurting. People are really hurting right now.
Cornerstone plans to continue its supply drive and will be working in other communities throughout the week.
I'm joined now by Juliana. Tell us a little bit about what you saw going on this morning.
Yeah, Elizabeth, there was a lot of chaos. Trees down along the highway, blocking roads. Gas stations are closed. Signs are bent out of shape. It's a mess down there.
I can't even imagine. I mean, do you know how many people were impacted?
According to Georgia Power's most recent outage map, more than 140,000 customers in the Augusta area alone are still in the dark. They may not have power again for weeks. Gas station lines are hours long, and some people told me they've driven to Atlanta, Athens, and even as far as Charleston for basic necessities.
I mean, is there anything we here can do in Athens to help them?
Well, Cornerstone Church of Athens is still accepting donations. You can find more information on their Facebook page.
The Salvation Army and Red Cross locations in Athens are also accepting donations. You can head to their websites to get a list of where you can drop off those or how to donate. A hurricane relief fund has also been set up on GoFundMe.org. There have been dozens of car break-ins this month in Athens. Grady Newsource reporter Noah Bice shows us what the ACC police are doing to solve this problem.
This month alone, Athens Clark County Police Department has responded to 42 car break-ins or attempts. Athens resident Jermaine Fate not only had his car broken into, but also stolen.
I had a meeting to go to, a work meeting, and that was around 6 o'clock in the afternoon. So I walk outside expecting my car to be outside, get in and go to work. Man, my car is not there.
Fate says he not only lost his car, but he also lost the ability to carry on with his daily life.
I was like, man, I need a car. Like, I'm stuck. I don't have nothing, nowhere to go. The places I do have to be, I can't be there. So I'm missing out on a lot of stuff.
Police found the car 3 days later and returned it to Fate. In 2023, Georgia ranked 9th in vehicle thefts with over 28,000 reported, according to the National Insurance Crime Bureau. Crime and intelligence analyst Nick Barker was recently recognized for helping solve cases like Fate's.
Using all the other resources that we have with intelligence databases and all that to be able to identify who was involved, where they were going, where they were likely at, and be able to conduct a search warrant to get majority of that property back, as well as take several into custody for their crimes being committed.
Barker also says the way most people are getting into cars isn't by smashing a window. It's by leaving your car unlocked, like Fate did.
Yes, it definitely was unlocked. With the keys inside, it was on the passenger door. Boom.
Barker also says the easiest way to protect your car is just by locking the door. Noah Bice, Grady Newsource.
Just 50 miles from Athens in Conyers, Georgia, a biolab caught fire, causing 17,000 people to be evacuated and an additional 19,000 to shelter in place. According to officials, the fire started Sunday morning and was contained, but around noon yesterday it reignited. Many people in Atlanta are now reporting a heavy haze and smell of chlorine in the air. A statement from Georgia's Emergency Management Agency says that the chemical levels in the air right now are unlikely to cause harm to people, but that they will continue to monitor levels until tomorrow. M. Hospital officially opened yesterday in Brookhaven. The hospital will work to care for children across the state. Grady Newsource reporter Riley Kehoe tells us more about what this hospital will bring to Georgia.
The first patient admitted to the new Children's Arthur M. Blank Hospital is an 8-year-old, Brittany Morales, awaiting a kidney transplant. She's among 202 patients transferred from Eggleston on Sunday, aided by 1,000 volunteers and 65 ambulances. Arthur M. Blank Hospital opened at 7 a.m. on Sunday in Brookhaven. The 19-story, 2 million square foot hospital features 446 beds and state-of-the-art technology for pediatric care.
In mind, they really kind of built this as a hospital of the future. So, like for example, there are robots now that carry linens and food trays. The nurse can put in a code and they'll drop off new fresh linen.
The Children's Eggleston Emergency Department has permanently closed, with all services now at the new facility. The hospital is expected to create 4,500 jobs, including 1,000 new positions, benefiting nursing students like Ridley White from Augusta University.
I know they have I think 100 beds more than Eggleston, so I think it's a great refresh for the kids to have a new environment, have better services and everything. It'll also create a lot more job opportunities for aspiring nurses like me or anyone else that's on the job hunt.
For over 100 years, Children's Healthcare of Atlanta has been dedicated to improving children's lives in Georgia and will continue to do so as the hospital of the future. Riley Kehoe, Grady Newsource.
A 5K was held yesterday afternoon to raise awareness for mental health needs. Grady Newsource reporter Sydney Rainwater tells us why raising awareness matters.
Running is a great way to stay physically healthy, but it can also help improve mental health. Running or jogging can reduce stress and boost mood. According to a Forbes study, 57.8% of Georgia adults with a mental illness do not receive treatment, and an even higher percentage of Georgia youth go without help.
Literally everything touches mental health awareness. So
Tammy Dalton, the executive director of Friends of Advantage, is finding ways to bring attention to this issue. Advantage Behavioral Health System's Health Meets Hope 5K and community event was held yesterday afternoon at Madison County High School.
We do not want to be the world's best kept secret in our communities. That's part of the charge for Friends of Advantage, is to host community events and be involved.
Advantage serves 10 Northeast Georgia counties and offers mental health care services such as crisis stabilization, intellectual developmental disability services, and residential services. Community events like this help them raise funds as well as awareness. Families and runners are welcome to join no matter where they're from. Sheila Finney came down from Royston, Georgia, to run in a race for a cause close to her heart.
Mental health is, a serious problem we have right now in the U.S., so it's nice to see that they're coming together and trying to raise money to help other people.
The Friends of Advantage already have 5Ks scheduled for May 2025 in Elberton and Athens, Georgia. For Grady Newsource, this is Sydney Rainwater.
Coming up after the break, we will take a look at voting registration initiatives in local counties.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s. Why should saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding. Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back.
Woohoo! Gnarly move, Dad.
Thanks, sweetie.
So wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
My Shiro doesn't always wear a cape, but she always has time for a hug, a smile, for going the extra mile. My Shiro stretches every dollar, puts in long hours, puts others first. But now it's your time, Mom. When you're ready to retire, we want you to be able to enjoy it. It's time to start saving now. A free 3-minute online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to start boosting your retirement savings today. Visit aceyourretirement.org.
October 7th is the last day you can register to vote. Grady Newsource reporter Sarah Sims shows us how Oconee County high schoolers are educating their peers on how to register.
Ahead of the upcoming vice presidential debate, I sat down with representatives from both the Young Republicans and Young Democrats of Athens to get their expectations.
Voters to the polls is an important part of this year's election. That's especially true here in battleground state of Georgia, with President Joe Biden winning the majority by just 12,000 votes in 2020. With the vice presidential debate tomorrow, Grady Newsource reporter Jackson Rowland tells us more. Jackson?
Well, thank you, Elizabeth. And both campaigns have spent plenty of time in the battleground state of Georgia, with, of course, Harris and Walz visiting the Atlanta area in the last 2 weeks, and, of course, spending time around the city of Macon. Now, Donald Trump has previously visited both the city of Savannah and is now in Valdosta as we speak, making appearances. And, of course, J.D. Vance, a vice presidential nominee for the Republican Party, was supposed to be in both the city of Macon and Flowery Branch just last week, but was forced to postpone due to hurricane. But no doubt he'll be back before November 5th. But why is each campaign spending the time and the money to win over Georgia voters? Well, I asked a couple young voters in Athens to tell us more.
Vice presidential debate, I sat down with representatives from both the Young Republicans and Young Democrats of Athens to get their expectations for the debate stage.
Kamala Harris's first big decision as the presidential candidate was choosing her VP. We didn't have the normal primary process, so that's one of the things that Americans can look to see her judgment.
It's a big opportunity for J.D. Vance to go out and really hit home on the issues that, Americans value.
The state of Georgia has been a focus for both campaigns, given Georgia's status as a swing state.
So, a Republican has to win Georgia. If Trump loses Georgia, he does not pass 270, and he knows that.
One of the path to victories for the Harris campaign, if they win Georgia, they'll probably win the election.
While Georgia is a prize win for both parties, it will likely be a close call on election night, with 270towin.com reporting 8 polls with an average margin of 1%.
This election the numbers are dead even between the two. And I think that puts this in a kind of a category that we've never kind of seen before.
Georgia was decided by the now infamous 11,779 votes. If it sways even 100 people in the state, that could help decide the election.
With tomorrow's debate and Election Day around the corner, this vice presidential debate is one for voters to watch.
And Elizabeth, while tomorrow's debate might be in New York City, stay tuned to Grady Newsource as we'll keep you updated from all the results and updates here in Georgia. And it's certainly going to be an interesting debate. We'll keep you posted here on Grady Newsource. Elizabeth?
Thanks, Jackson. We apologize for previous technical difficulties. We're now going to head to Sarah Sims, who's going to show us how Oconee County high schoolers are educating their peers on how to register.
2 of Oconee County's 13 polling locations are near schools where some will be voting for the first time. The Georgia Civics Club at Oconee County High School put on a voting registration drive where they informed and registered around 50 students.
Voting is just such an important right that we have freedom to exercise. So I think we got a good amount of responses trying to get people to sign up for voting.
Even kids who can't vote yet are getting involved.
I'm not old enough to vote. I'm not going to be old enough to vote in November for the presidential election. But I know a lot of my friends who are and who need to get out and be involved.
In Georgia, there are about 8 million registered to vote, and about 1 million of those are between the ages 18 through 24.
Voters everywhere will be filling out ballots just like the one I have in my hands on November 5th in locations just like the Oconee County Civic Center all over their counties. Registration ends in just 1 week.
Teacher Mark Oglesby is the advisor for the Georgia Civics Club and helps leads the students.
We are a representative democracy. That representative democracy, that republic, only works as well as the people who participate in it.
In the middle of election season, parents like Katie Green, whose daughter goes to the school, has been vocal about the need to inform students of voting.
I think that elections are so important from the national level on down to the local level, and this is a great election for kids to be voting in.
North Oconee County High School and Oconee County High School are excusing student absences the day of voting.
I think having an educated youth is what is going to drive our future to continue to be successful.
Sarah Sims, Grady Newsource.
The deadline to register to vote in Georgia is next Monday, and early voting in Georgia begins on October 15th. To register, all you need is a valid photo ID, a Georgia's driver's license, government or military photo ID, U.S. passport, student ID, or tribal ID. All qualify. You can visit Georgia's My Voter page online to register or check your registration status. After the break, our weather reporter, Faith James, will give us our 5-day forecast and an update on Hurricane Helene.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
You're home before sunrise. On top of the house, the kids, and our future. The smell of your cooking is our alarm clock. My Shiro's day is never done. So let's start saving a little more now so we can feel prepared for retirement. A free 3-minute online chat can give us the personalized tips we need so we can live our lives to the fullest. Visit aceyourretirement.org.
Julie was always a voracious reader. She'd carry 2 novels on an airplane because she'd read one on a 3-4 hour ride. And at some point, I began to notice that she would read a page and couldn't remember what she had just read, and she'd have to go back and read it again.
I don't remember much these days after I read, but less does for me, and I love it.
Hey world, I have a quick message. It's about safe driving. All right, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckled tight. Both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand, trying to text somebody back. Because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah.
Good evening, I'm Faith James here with your 5-day weather forecast. We had a mostly sunny day here in Athens with a high of 82 and a low of 64. But but it looks there's a 10% chance of rain tonight, but it looks like it will remain partly cloudy for the evening. Following Monday, we're looking at a partly sunny day with a high of 82 and a low of 64. And it looks like the sun will be here to stay for the rest of the week, with our high staying in the low 80s and our low staying in the mid to low 60s. The end of this week looks sunny, but last week was different. Hurricane Helene hit Georgia last Thursday evening. Since Helene hit, Athens has cleared most of the roads for vehicle traffic, and traffic signals have been repaired. However, there are still roads blocked off by trees that fell during the storm. I witnessed tree blocking Church Street and another one blocking West Lake Drive. There are also still areas in Athens experiencing power outages. According to the Georgia Power Outage Map, most of the outage reports are coming from Highway 78 area. 535 Georgia Power customers have been affected. These outages should be completed by the end of the day. That's all for your weather. After the break, we'll go to Savannah for a Georgia sports update.
Week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew. A girl so smart, so responsible. She must be a keeper.
You know, a lot of people say when you're going somewhere, you don't want to look back. But I beg to differ. For her to see her father celebrate his graduation, that's the best feeling in the world. I can't lie and say it was easy. But sometimes you just have to stop everything and take it in. I looked at everything in a different light. I realized it started with me going back and getting my high school diploma.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right, because a few hours ago in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign, not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
There is a road laid out for me.
First night here, but Amy seems cool.
Leading down to the river. I am blind, but I need not see.
What do you think?
I know this road is there for me. If I'm really free, take me down to the river and walk.
What's up, Grady Newsource? I'm Savannah Hernandez here with all things Georgia sports. First, let's dive into what everybody's talking about: Georgia's heartbreaking 41-34 loss against Alabama, dropping the Dogs to number 5 in the AP poll. Just when it seemed like Georgia might pull off the biggest comeback in program history, Alabama responded with a touchdown and end zone interception to seal the deal. This defeat snapped Georgia's 42-game regular season win streak and marked another loss for Kirby Smart against Alabama, bringing his record to 1-6 against the Tide. But it's on to the next. Georgia hosts Auburn this weekend, who's also coming off a tough loss to Oklahoma. Both Georgia and Auburn are hungry to bounce back. Here's what Coach Smart had to say about the upcoming game.
You turn the tape on and you watch their defense and their offense, outside of turnovers, got a really good football team. You know, they've turned the ball over and they've made that very clear that it's not, I mean, look, they got good players. They got good wideouts, quarterbacks playing better and better, and they've gone back and forth between them. But the focus for us is on them.
Next, it's crunch time for the Braves as they head into the final games of the regular season with wild card contention hanging in the balance. The Braves are locked in a tight race with the Diamondbacks and Mets, and today's doubleheader will determine which two teams clinch those final postseason spots. Atlanta needs just one win to make the postseason, and Game 2 is underway as we speak. And last but certainly not least, the Atlanta Falcons pulled off a nail-biting win against the Saints thanks to a 58-yard field goal goal from Younghoe Koo with just 2 seconds left in the game. Looking ahead, the Falcons face the Buccaneers for a Thursday night kickoff in Atlanta. Both teams coming off a big win. Atlanta's dominant run game and Tampa's explosive passing game makes for an exciting matchup. That's all I have for sports, but after the break, we'll dive into how college athletes are getting paid to play. Or maybe not. Stay tuned.
During high school, I hung with the wrong crowd and I never graduated.
I helped Santiago in many different ways, like all fathers do, because he always wanted to go to college.
I felt a little embarrassed to come back to school, but eventually, once I came here, I knew that it's for a bigger goal.
He was very dedicated, hardworking. He connected with his teachers. He connected with other students. That was one of the key reasons why he was able to keep forging ahead.
It was amazing to see him graduate. This was one thing that meant so much to him, and of course, it meant so much to us too.
With the help of my father and having my son, that was all the motivation that I needed. That support is everything.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
I think I finally found.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Mason.
Hey, Mason.
Got a new house. It's looking pretty cool so far.
A place that I call home.
I'm teaching Louise how to cook some lasagna.
Thank you.
Study, please.
I think I finally found a place to make my own. A place that I call home. This place that I call home.
Since 2021, athletes have been allowed to make money off their name, image, and likeness. But sometimes things don't always run smoothly. Grady Newsource reporter Nigel Whittington tells us about the athletes who make money for their schools but aren't directly paid by them.
For some, watching sports is how they relax after a hard day's work. For collegiate athletes, however, sports is a hard day's work. And for the past 3 years, compensation for that work became a reality. In 2021, Georgia Governor Brian Kemp signed a bill allowing collegiate athletes to profit off their image. And while the athletes now have the power to make money, many didn't know how to do so properly. Matthew Sulka, a quarterback at the University of Las Vegas, Nevada, was promised $100,000 to transfer to the school. Just last week, after leading UNLV to an undefeated start to the season, he saw only 3% of the aforementioned $100,000 and is deciding to sit out the season and transfer. NIL is how many here at the University of Georgia make their money, as was the case for former UGA baseball player Dwight Allen. For Allen, who transferred to UNLV's baseball team, and many other athletes across the country, the landscape is fairly new for paying athletes, coming with many risks.
It's a very, very transactional landscape through NIL. So you could have one team or one school contact you and say they'll pay you $1 million to come to their school. But since you can't really have the funds allocated through the school, there's no guarantee with how much money you can really get.
Situations like these are causing athletes to require experts just to understand the legal side of these agreements.
I started picking up a lot more attention in the last 2 years. So I hired a professional, lawyer to help me, negotiate a lot of my contracts because a lot of the fine print, I had no idea what I was reading.
Professor Carlo Finley, the assistant director of the Carmichael Sports Institute at UGA, understands that while UGA isn't paying the athletes, other parties are.
Athletes are allowed to earn money off their name, image, and likeness. What that means is the schools can't pay them, but rather they get money from organizations, from businesses, often through collectives.
Collectives are organizations that raise money from donors, fans, and businesses to compensate athletes. But there's no third party requiring these parties to pay the athletes.
It's a sort of like a triangular relationship in the sense that athletes are attending a school and playing for a school, but there's a third party that they have this financial relationship with.
Data from the NCAA's official website shows over half of all deals from this year did not exceed $100. But of those that did exceed, $10,000, majority of those were for football and basketball players. While the majority of these deals aren't sending hundreds of thousands of dollars to the athletes are slowly beginning to see compensation for their hard day's work. Nigel Whittington, Grady Newsource.
And that's all we have for tonight's show. Join us again on Wednesday at 5. I'm Elizabeth Hunter. Have a great night.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s. Why should saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding. Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back.
Gnarly move, Dad.
Thanks, sweetie. So wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
My Shiro doesn't always wear a cape, but she always has time for a hug, a smile, for going the extra mile. My Shiro stretches every dollar, puts in long hours, puts others first. But now it's your time, Mom. When you're ready to retire, we want you to be able to enjoy it. It's time to start saving now. A free 3-minute online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to start boosting your retirement savings today. Visit aceyourretirement.org.
Jennifer, can you hear me? Jennifer?
I can. Yeah, I can. I can't see you, but I can hear you.
Okay. And we are now figuring out we can see you like in different screens.
Yeah.
We see we see a lot of you. A lot of you, as you deserve. So there we go. Thank you for joining us. Jennifer Johnston is a senior producer. Maybe you have a new title since we've last talked with CNN in New York. Really thrilled and honored that she can join us to give you some insight. She is a pro producer who has an amazing career producing. So I can't think of a better person who can critique our work and help you grow. I have a very talented bunch of people here. This is, what is this? This is our 4th or 5th show, I think? Sixth show, yeah. So, yeah, but we have a long way to go, and we are honored to have you and hope to hear, how we can take this to the next level. So, as we say in television, it's over to you, Jennifer, and if you want to introduce yourself a little bit and just let us know what you thought.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I've been with CNN for 32 years. I started in Atlanta And then I transferred to New York. I'm originally from New Jersey, as you can tell from my accent, not from the South. I currently work at CNN Special Projects, so we do sponsored content. We also do so it's all this stuff that makes money for the company. We also oversee all the obituaries that CNN does. We also oversee, I was very, very busy the last couple of days, as you can imagine, with Impact Your World, which is gives viewers and readers a way to activate and help in a time of crisis. Which is, I just looked at the death count. It's gone up even higher. I think it's 158 now. It's just horrible and tragic what's been going on from the aftermath of Hurricane Helene. My unit runs Impact Your World, and the last I looked, so far I think the CNN viewers have raised $80,000 to help in that relief effort. So very proud to be a part of that. But I'll just jump right in, if that's okay, to the critique. I have to say, I think maybe this is my fourth one that I've done. And I have to say, not that your last classes haven't been talented, but I'm very impressed by all the talent for all the report. Oh, there I am a million times again. I'll just kind of talk through. Can you still hear me?
All six of you.
Okay. All six of you. Okay.
Yeah.
Everyone, I could really see so many of the people that were the students that were presenting. I could really see them in this business, even if it's not something they really thought about it. I mean, both their presence on camera and their voice quality, I was really, really impressed. So I just wanted to say overall, I thought it was a very solid show with writing and talent. And as you know, I take notes for every block. So I'll start with the A block. And I apologize. I try to write down everyone's name, so if I get them wrong, I'm sorry. I wanted to say that Elizabeth, who anchored everything, she was so smooth and comfortable, and I liked the way she was talking with her hands. She didn't seem nervous at all. So I just thought she did a fabulous job overall. Julianne Rust, on her story about follow up on Hurricane Helene, I just thought that was, first of all, you got to lead out of that. I mean, that's what you have to lead with. I mean, that's what is all over the news today. And to give it that local angle, I thought was really, really good. Got a lot of perspective from people in the cars. I just thought that was a really solid package. Two things I would suggest. When she was on set and she was talking about signs being bent out of shape, we didn't see any signs bent out of shape. So it's kind of nice if you're talking about something to see it. I think it was down trees, and then there was a gas station, but I didn't see what she was talking about. So I would have liked to have seen the signs bent out of shape. And I would say that also, when you're giving viewers places to go online, it's really helpful to show it on screen. So I think it was GoFundMe.org was one, maybe the American Red Cross. Like, you're expecting the viewers to remember that and maybe write it down, but at least to give a visual cue of a website would be super, super helpful. So that was one recommendation for that. I would say going to car thefts next seemed kind of like a little bit of a left turn, no pun intended. Maybe some sort of transition there. I noticed the little Grady Newsource logo comes in sometimes between stories. That was missing there. That might have helped. Noah did a really great job with the car theft piece. I have to say, I absolutely loved his stand-ups. him opening the door and then him being in the car with locking, I just unlocking, or I can't even remember what he was doing. He was unlocking or locking, but I just loved it. And that it just makes me laugh because my son's a reporter in Raleigh, North Carolina. And those are the type of stand-ups he does. And I kind of like that because it's like action. You're not just standing there. So I really did enjoy Noah's stand-ups. Um, Riley did a really nice job on Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. I really like the student nurse interview that gave it a nice perspective of someone that's up and coming in the nursing business and what this facility will mean to her as well. I guess I didn't even, you think of the people doing it now as a regular profession. You think about the children that will be going there, but it was kind of neat to hear from someone that will be entering that profession and what she thinks that means. One thing in that, with the interview shot, and I think her name was Kaylee, if I'm not mistaken. You just have to watch when you're framing your interview shots because she had a big old purse like sitting next to her. So I was like looking at her and then I was like, what? I got distracted and I looked to the left and I was like, oh, that's her purse sitting on the wall next to her. So just some things to keep in mind when you're doing interviews and when you're setting up the shots. You want the focus to be the person and you don't want anything to distract from that. And I was a little distracted from her purse. Um, and then Sydney had the mental health with running. And that was a nice, I really liked that whole concept. I liked the woman that she interviewed. Again, in the interview shot, there was some big handle on the right-hand side. It almost looked like a suitcase handle that was sticking up. Again, I was distracted by the handle. And also with that piece, it's about running. And I'm not sure when Sydney went, if she went before the run started. Like, I didn't see any running, and it's about running for mental health. And so that threw me off a little bit. I would have wanted to see some of the race or some of the something, but of course she might have been there before the actual race started. Um, Overall, the A block, I will say that I would have switched up some things. I would have definitely started with the piece that you started with, but I would have had the election stuff in the A block, and then I would have had the car thefts, children health care, and the running probably in the B block. Because the big stories right now, I mean, can think of the three big stories. It's Hurricane Helene, it's Israel, on what's going on with Lebanon and Gaza, and then it's the election. So, and you did a local feel for two of those stories, but I would have liked to seen the election pieces in the A block. Are there any? Should I just keep going, Relitza, or should I go through all of them or pause between blocks?
I think you should go through all of them, and then if we have questions, yeah.
Okay. So I have to say, Jackson, he belongs on air right now. I mean, I cannot get over how amazing his voice is, his appearance. I just was like blown away. I'm like, how, like his voice on the package, I was like, this is someone I would expect to hear on the news already. Just so super smooth, so confident. Yeah, I just thoroughly enjoyed his reporting. The one critique I will say on his package is he had two males in it, that he was talking about the election. I would have loved to have diversity. I would have loved to maybe have a female voice. So I kind of feel like it was, and maybe there was diversity. It was hard for me to tell, but it was two white guys talking. So I would have liked to seen a little bit or heard from someone with something else, a woman, someone of a different race. So that would have been nice. But other than that, super job. Sarah Sims did a really nice job as well. There were a little issues with the editing on that one, Again, I'm noticing interview shots, they're not consistent. Some of them were tight, some of them were far away. It's just, like I said, you want the shot to focus on the person so that they're all the viewers thinking about is what the person's saying, and they're not paying attention to other things like, wow, that person's far away, or looking at other stuff in the background. So just I wanted to reiterate that. And again, I know when, sorry, I'm going to go back to her name. When Elizabeth came back on talking about voter requirements for people, really super helpful if a graphic was up and could have kind of listed out, this is what you need to go vote. Visual cues always better than someone just talking to you. So that would be something that I would suggest. The C block. Faith did a really nice job with the weather. I really like that instead of just giving the forecast for the week, that she went back and talked about Hurricane Helene and like what has opened up, how many power outages are still going on. So I like that it tied back into like a major weather story. The only the critique I have for that was that, and it's hard being in front of the blue screen, she was standing in front of the graphic that said Hurricane Helene. So it would have been nice if she scooted over so you could see that. But I know that takes a lot of getting used to. I probably wouldn't even be in the frame if I was doing that because it's so difficult to do that. But she did a nice job. D block, Savannah with sports. Very nice. I will say that the one thing I got confused about was on the second story with the Braves and the Falcons. The graphic had both of them. It was like a split with a diagonal. And I was like, why are we talking about the Braves and yet we're seeing a football player too? So I would have just maybe had a full shot of Atlanta Braves, and then when you started talking about the Falcons, go to a shot of the Falcons. Because to be honest, I kept thinking about that, and then when a viewer does that, you lose them. Because I was like, why is that football player on there? And then I lost what you were saying about the Braves. So again, visual, very important. The best teaser of the show was when she said, if college athletes will be paid or not. So it made me want to stay tuned to find out what that was about. So that was great writing. Really like that. And then finally, I know I get to be very rambly. Nigel did a nice job. That's I didn't know anything about that, athletes being paid at the collegiate level. There was some good information in there. The guy that he interviewed, the baseball player, was very good. He gave great bites. I'm going to go back to the interview shot again. I think his name was Carlo. Again, he was so wide. And then I saw the mic line. I don't know if the mic was sitting like across the desk, and I saw the mic line going up and clipped to his shirt. Again, I was distracted, and I got distracted from what he was saying. But overall, I thought that was pretty good. And then the graphic in that package, I couldn't read it. The type was so small, I didn't know what I was looking at. It just looked like I was looking at colors of a pie, but not really understanding it. But like I said, it was a good package and good information. Overall, I thought it was a very solid newscast. Like I said, you have a lot of talent in that room right there. And if they're this talented at this age, I can only imagine what they'll be when they graduate and go even further.
Thank you so much. I'm there with you. They really surprised me from the very beginning. Actually, we didn't do a mock show. We went live because we had the Barrow County shooting happen during their training, and 3 of them volunteered, and they went and caught the first press conference. We put it on digital. We were not ready for broadcasting, so they really impressed me from the very beginning. And I guess we can open it up for questions after what you heard or anything any advice or anything you'd like to ask Jennifer, just pick up one of those mics and
Okay, so I actually wasn't involved in the show today because I'm doing like solutions journalism right now, so I didn't have like a piece. But I noticed you said that like I have classmates in here who are like super like confident and appear like really well on camera. And at your level, like I know this might be kind of a maybe like a broad question, but what are some tips you give to like look more relaxed and look a little more natural and look more comfortable on camera? Like what do you see people on your level do to like kind of just relax and like find their personality and find their voice on camera?
Well, I have to say, I am solely behind the scenes. I never want to be in front of the camera. I don't know. I'm probably not the best person to answer that question. And I don't know really what someone would do to prepare to look so relaxed. Some people it comes very naturally. But I would say like the thing is there was no stuttering. There was no, it just seemed like they were just talking to your friend, right? It just seems like they were in class, kind of chit-chatting about their story. It didn't like seem like the camera was in their face. What they did to get that sort of confidence, I don't know. And I apologize that I can't really answer that, but I've never been in front of camera. And even like doing this, I stutter and I'm not the best. So I am solely behind the scenes person. I'm so sorry I couldn't answer your question.
No, you're totally fine. Thank you.
I'm Sarah, and I just wanted to ask, as we're kind of all seniors looking to graduate, what are things that you look for or like other news stations look for in the job hiring process to like make us stand out?
Sure. An excellent reel. So having that experience, having a reel, I think a big part is writing. So typically when we are hiring someone, you take a writing test. So you need to know about obviously, and then we'll ask like if you were doing a show today, what would be your top 3 stories that you would do? So news awareness, writing, your reel, and then a big part of the interview process is you need to act like yourself and be calm and just like have a conversation with the person that's interviewing you. And I like to see personality. So one of the first questions I always ask is, tell me something that's not on your resume. And it could be that maybe you're an avid swimmer, maybe that you like to needlepoint. I don't know, just something and that usually is how I remember the people that I'm interviewing, is that little nugget that's not on the resume and helps them stand apart.
I believe I had the next question. So there's like a lot of screens with your face on it, so I don't know which one to look at.
Oh my God, that is so frightening to me. I don't even.
There's actually 2, but
you actually go back to my picture.
Yeah. Okay. I think this makes sense if I look over here at you.
You're looking at me.
Okay,
You got it.
Sounds good. Hi, I'm Lizzie, and thanks for joining us today. It was really great to have you. I was the producer today, and you gave the piece of advice about putting the voting up in the A block. But what advice would you give to like best transition between like the story of a hurricane and then right into like voting? Like how do you make pieces that don't normally fit together for like your blocks and your segments?
Yeah, I think, well, for a lot of your stories, you had that transition of the logo. So I got a visual cue that we were going to the next story. It was just that one time from the Hurricane Helene to I think the car thefts, there was no visual cue. And then the writing, there was nothing that kind of transitioned to it. If you were to do Helene to voting, you could just say another big story, national story today, or you could do something as simple as that. Either that, so it has to be either a verbal or a visual cue. And a lot of times all your stuff in your A block is not going to all jive together, right? So you have to find a way to kind of weave it together. I was just saying that being that the election, and of course, at CNN. That's like, it's like overkill, all election, all the time. Like, so I just expected that to be in the A block. Not that the way you did it. I mean, there's a million ways to skin a cat, right? In this business, and you could do so many different things. I just would have preferred the election to be in the A block. Now, you could have another producer that maybe wouldn't have given you that comment. But so, I mean, there was nothing wrong with it. I just feel like that's a big news story, and you have your big ones in the A block.
Wonderful, thank you. And I do have another question, and then we can hand it off to the next person's questions. What advice would you have for people, young people who are interested in producing as a career?
I think the best thing as a producer, so I'm a producer, I'm a senior producer, I'm an interim executive producer right now, but I didn't start editorially. I started in the technical side. So I think no matter what position you have, producer, editor, anchor, reporter, I think you should get to know all the sides of the business. So I started running scripts and running the teleprompter, and then I was sticking tapes in the machines, which doesn't exist anymore. It's all digital. And then I was an editor, and then I transitioned to being an associate producer. So when I was I'm a producer now, but I was mainly a field producer. So when I was a field producer, like, because I had that technical knowledge behind me, when I went into the field, I knew what I wanted, and I would talk to the photographer and say, this is what I was looking for. We work together as a team. It's just so important for any position in news that you really understand what everyone is doing. And you're not kind of like on an island by yourself and just all in the producing world. Like, you have to understand where everyone's coming from and go out and experience it. So I would really encourage people to do a little bit of everything and to kind of get a sense of what every position entails. I don't know if that was helpful.
No, it was. Thank you. Yeah.
Yep.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth, and I actually hate anchoring. I like reporting, so thank you very much for your kind words. But I know you mentioned like your reel and like standing out in interviews, but I've been told several times like when you're first applying, you just apply and then you send your reel in like an email or something. When a news director or whoever watches the reel is watching hundreds of them, what's something you can like do to stand out in that regard?
First of all, with anything, brevity and being concise is key, because they are looking at so many. You really, within the first like 15 seconds, you have to grab someone's attention or they might not finish watching your reel, right? So yeah, be creative, have the best stuff at the top. And that even goes with a cover letter. That goes with anything, right? I mean, it's the news business, and we only have, I mean, it's funny, but it translates into the interview process, I think, too. You have like a minute 15 to tell a story, right? And so think of that when you're trying to sell yourself, right? Try to think of like an elevator pitch. If you were stuck on an elevator with an executive for someone that a job you were interviewing for, and you had like 30 seconds to explain why they should hire you, think about what you would say. And that's kind of what you got to do, not only in a cover letter, in your interview, in your reel. You got to kind of get that all across. I know it's hard, but you know, it's the news business is quick, and people don't have time, and they just want to see something and that nugget and get it in their face and the best, and then they'll keep watching, and you'll pique their interest. And you were very good as an anchor, but I'm going to tell you that also means that you're very good in the field as a reporter with stand-ups. So even though you don't like anchoring, I could totally see you reporting. I mean, you're just very good on camera.
Thank you.
A minute, half a question. Any quick question?
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
and
you.
I always say this at the end, Relisa. So, you know, I'm not in front of the camera, but I always say to reach out to me, because my son is a reporter in Raleigh. and he is on that other side, and he's 27, so he can provide more insight into doing this at a younger age. He started, this is his third job, so he's going up and up and up in markets. He is very, very talented, and I'm not just saying that because he's my son. He is very talented. I feel like he's done a lot of the right things, but he would be a very good resource and a person to talk to because he's a heck of a lot younger than me. So you can just reach out to me, and I can give you his contact information. He would love to talk to students. And then also, you can have my email. This past summer, one of the former students came and was in New York, and I gave her a tour of CNN, and we chit-chatted, and I'm more than willing to do that if anyone's ever in New York, or I can answer any other questions that you might have about the business or about CNN.
So much, and I'll put your CNN email, your official email, in our Slack channel. Is that okay?
Oh,
so
perfect.
Okay, I'll do that. I can't thank you enough, Jennifer. It means a lot
Sure.
to the students and to me to get your advice, and really, really appreciate it, and wish you all the best. Things have been quite turbulent at CNN, and I wish you all the best. The business is,
Hopefully I'm here a while longer.
Yes, you will be. Yeah, but one final question from me. I think we're off the live air right now, but one about the business and where are